Greetings, family. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Sajdah Saturday morning coffee talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. And I cannot wait to share with you our story about Hoglah and her sisters and their fight for land rights in the time of Moses. So sit back, get your coffee, your tea, and we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings. You're tuned in to the Sajdah Saturday morning coffee talks, where we talk about life, love, and business.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
The Supreme Being chose each one of you. And I defy you to argue that with me. I would take you one-on-one and prove from what comes out of your mouth that he chose you. Go enough in your background, even into your madness, and show you the way he took you. You didn't guide yourself out that madness. You couldn't have got here on your own.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people. Yes, sir. You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself. Yes, sir. There will be a great separation. Yes, sir. So I said, it is on now.
The college is meant to prepare you for your future. That the time dictates that if we don't do something for ourselves as a people, we will be destroyed. And the aim of the enemy right now is to take us out.
We have God with us. We have him as our guide. Yes, sir. We don't have to stand around here and ask the question, what must be done? Yes, sir. Get up and let's go and do something. Yes, sir. We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down. Yes, sir. We must get up. Yes, sir. And go to work.
Do you know what real joy is in life? Visioning something and bringing it into reality. That's real joy. Do you know what the next step in joy is? Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity.
Tonight, you need to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trusting our future and the future of our children into the hands of those who don't love us. I believe we need to revitalize black leadership.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Sister Sajdah. I want to tell you all about our Sajdah House summer tours and fundraising events. Because you are a friend of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum, you are being given a unique sneak peek into this sacred renovation and restoration. The house remains under construction as we inch closer to the finish line. We appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you this summer. So click the link in the bio or just go to Eventbrite and search Sajdah House Summer Tours and Fundraising Events.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. We playing around with different locations outside this morning, so we're going to try this one today. So give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, thank you, Brother Lamont. Thank you so much. Thank you, Arvince Muhammad. Wa alaikum salam for your very kind words. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about Hoglah and her sister's quest for land rights, right? But before we do that, Brother Arvince said something to me in the chat. He said, "Thank you for your hard work and dedication. You're an angel." And that's a beautiful, beautiful compliment. And let me say this, and I'm not trying to diminish the brother's compliment, but it's not hard work when the word of God settles on your heart and on your mind, and on you in a way that I just get this feeling of euphoria. So, for example, as I'm sitting here waiting for the videos to finish playing, and I'm just watching the different videos of our nation and things like that, and I just have this sense of euphoria. When I think about the Word of God, I, I'm I'm euphoric about it, and I'm euphoric about it enough that I can navigate through life, right, as a as a normal person, if you will, and just hold that in my heart. And that's been my biggest gift, or one of the biggest gifts that Allah has given me. So He didn't make me just euphoric in front of someone, or euphoric in just in the mosque. He allowed me to carry that euphoria with me around the world, and it has blessed me. It's blessed me, opened so many roads and so many spaces, and allowed me to do so many record breaking things that my name is in the record books for, um, because of that euphoria. So anyway, I just had to say that. You inspired that, Brother Arvin. So welcome to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. This is the fourth talk of a series on connecting women of the Bible to conscious entrepreneurship. So many times women are written completely out of history, and seldom are we lifted up and celebrated for the work that we do. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that many great women die broken. So sad, because the men in their lives didn't understand their value. He said, "We, men, don't know how to handle women with greatness. We want to be big men, but we are frightened by intelligent women." Wow. That is quite a controversial truth that our beloved minister has unveiled. And what I love about the truths that he unveiled, he also gives us a solution to overcome it. So he unveils a truth, gives us a solution to overcome it, and gives us an opportunity, right, to do better, so that we don't have to repeat that dreadful and dark history that he discussed. So it's an interesting topic that's been debated and explored, and we see this reality play out throughout history as far back as the Bible. Um, I love spiritual talks in the morning over a hot cup of coffee or herbal chai tea. And that's what we are replicating here on the Sajdah Saturday morning coffee talks with all these birds and squirrels jumping around as we're talking. So if you see me looking up, that's why. And if you enjoy talks like this, please like and subscribe to the Sajdah Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel so that you will be notified whenever we go live. And if you enjoy these talks, please support, make a donation. You can Cash App us, $Mo Today, MOETODAY. Y'all know the charity of my choice is the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum. So we ask that you support and donate there. And my goal is to have these coffee talks every morning, where some mornings I'll have guests over for coffee or tea, and we'll have elevated conversations among civilized people. All right, let's see who we got in the chat. Mrs. Phoenix 91, thank you. She said, Assalamu alaikum, $10. Sandra D, Assalamu alaikum. Sister Sajdah and family. I see Sister Dawn. Assalamu alaikum. I see Sister Alita. Assalamu alaikum. I see my mom. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Lamont. So welcome all of you. There's a lot of y'all in here, but y'all ain't all saying anything. That's okay. We're gonna get started because I got a lot of information here to convey to you. So bear with me. I took a lot of notes. So today we're talking about, right, the Bible characters. This is our series on women in the Bible. We're talking about the daughters of Zelophehad: Mala, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. Hoglah is the middle daughter, and I don't know, for some reason, her name just kind of stuck out to me. But they were among the Israelites who journeyed to the Promised Land. So their family was among the Israelites who journeyed through the Promised Land. They made a bold request of Moses and changed inheritance law in Israel forever. Now, Moses is one of my favorite people in both Judaism and Christianity. Moses is a central figure. He is the man from the Old Testament, most mentioned in the New Testament. He led the Israelites out of bondage in Egypt. He communicates directly with God and received the 10 Commandments. And he was he just an incredible man. Um, Quite a godlike man that would likely have been very intimidating, right? Walaikum salam, Sister Alicia, which likely would have been very intimidating to go in front of. Imagine, well, let me just unfold it, okay? So in Islam, Moses is loved and respected. He is a prophet, a messenger. Allah mentions him in the Holy Quran more than 120 times, and his story ranges across several chapters. It is the longest and most detailed story of a prophet in the Holy Quran and is discussed in elaborate detail. Surah 28 of the Quran is named the narration. The first 45 verses focus solely on the story of Moses. It is from here that we learn about the strength and piety of his mother and how God rewarded her righteousness and trust in him by returning her son. And I hope to cover the story of his mother in this series. We're going to get through that, inshallah. Look, Allah spoke to this man from a burning bush. So imagine these 5 young sisters whose father was a fallen soldier. Father was a soldier. He passed away in the wilderness. They grew up in a household where they knew the story of Moses. They knew their father was a soldier. They likely saw him regularly, but he may or may not have known who they were. He may or may not have even really known their father. He's a powerful man, a lawmaker, a leader, a man who spoke to Allah himself and received instructions from Allah. Allah spoke to him in the burning bush, gave him laws and books. The Holy Quran says, surely we revealed the Torah, having guidance and light. By it did the prophets who submitted themselves to Allah judge for the Jews and the rabbis and the doctors of law, because they were required to guard the book of Allah, and they were witness thereof. So fear not the people, and fear me, and take not a small price for my messages. And whoever judges not by what Allah has revealed, those are the disbelievers. He challenged, I'm talking about Moses here. He challenged the most powerful government in the land. He escaped their death plots. And these sisters mustered the courage to go against the existing laws of the land and approach Moses and the chiefs and other people in their village in an attempt to have the law changed on their behalf. Think about that courage. Put yourself in their shoes. They went before Moses and his court to present their case. Walaikum salam, Sister Roxanne. Most of us wouldn't go before Moses and the courts. We won't go before the courts here. A lot of us are scared. Now let's keep going. We're going to keep going. After Moses had led listen, let me say this before I go on. I want you to keep in your mind, this is designed to encourage us as conscious entrepreneurs, because oftentimes religion and spirituality is removed from business. And I've had people tell me who work with me, say, why would you give up your career and be dedicated to spirituality and business? And I just laugh, because they have no idea the reward from Allah as a result of doing business in a better way, being non-predatory. So this is an encouragement for us to find examples in the Bible and the Holy Quran of people who were lawmakers and entrepreneurs and business people who had courage to do business in a way that was different from Pharaoh back then, Pharaoh now, and the other predatory people that we face in the world of business. All right, so now here we go. After Moses had led the children of Israel out of Egypt, and they had wandered in the wilderness for a significant time, the Lord commanded Moses and Eleazar to take the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel from 20 years old and upward. That's Numbers 26:2. So in other words, do a census. Find out what we got out here. This is Allah directly instructing Moses and his chiefs on what to do next. You know how we always talk about, oh Allah, what's our very next move? Allah said, well, take a census. And this census was done in order to know how many men had to go to war, as well as to help them divide up inheritances in the promised land once they obtained it. Remember, they had gone to war. And so a lot of people had passed away, and some people probably defected. So now Allah says to Moses, take a census. So Moses and Eleazar numbered every tribe and found that the total number of men over the age of 20, excluding the Levites who would not receive an inheritance, was 601,730 men. That's Numbers 26. During this numbering, it was noted that one of the heirs of the tribe Manasseh, his name was Zelophehad, he had no sons, but he had 5 daughters: Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. That's Numbers 26 and 33. Arvin said, this is my first time watching your morning show, and I am very pleased. This is a great way to start my day off. All praises due to Allah. All right. So the name of the girls, again, Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. Their father's name was Zelophehad. He was the son of Hepher, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, of the families of Manasseh, the son of Joseph. We don't know very much about their mother, okay? But what we do know a little bit about their great grandmother and great great grandmother. Their great grandmother was a woman named Makah, who was of the tribe of Benjamin, and the sister to Hupin and Shupin, the wife of Machir and the mother of Gilead. You can find that in Chronicles 7. Their great great grandmother was a woman we know only as Manasseh's concubine and the mother of Machir. Keep that in mind. But we can make some assumptions about the strength of their mother based upon their perseverance and courage. We don't know whether or not their mother was still alive or not, but what we do know is that her daughters were likely modeling her strength. Their grandmother was a concubine, and the girls likely didn't spend a lot of time with their grandfather and maybe not even their father. Because remember, this was a time of war. So that means to me that they were even more courageous than what is written of them. After their father died in the wilderness, these 5 young women approached Moses, Eleazar, who was the high priest, the princes, and the whole congregation of Israel to petition on their father's behalf. Talk about daddy's girls. What kind of woman raised these type of women? These are the daughters of Zelophehad's possibly concubine. There's some accounts that say that their mother was also a concubine. There's others that say that she was one of the wives. We don't know. But what we do know is that women were looked at really as second-class citizens by the people in the land, not by Allah, and that the girls likely didn't spend a lot of time with their father. But when they went to Moses, the high priest, the princes, and the whole congregation, they explained that their father had died in the wilderness. Think about that. Your father just died in the wilderness, and now I don't know how long it takes to even find out if your father didn't come back from the war. You keep waiting. You see all the soldiers coming back. You don't see your father, and somebody says to you, oh, he died in the wilderness. And they took the time to clarify that he had not been among the company of Korah, who had been killed by the Lord when they tried to take the priesthood among themselves without the proper authority. So they let Moses know that their father was not a hypocrite. They explained what a soldier he was and how he was not among those who tried to convert the people to follow him. He was a believer. And they took pride in their father who was a believer. And they represented their father as a believer to Moses. Think about this. Maybe Moses didn't even know him personally, but he got a chance to know get a chance to know Zelophehad through his daughters. But he was a strong follower. He was a warrior. He was a soldier. That's what he learned. And his daughters represented him so well and presented such a beautiful case that resulted in laws being changed. Now, since they had no brothers, they were afraid that their father's name and inheritance would be lost. These girls went about their business of preserving history and preserving the security of their family and demanding their own transfer of generational wealth. Think about that. They said, why should the name of our father be done away from among his family because he had no sons? And then they requested, they said, give unto us, therefore, a possession among the brethren of our father. They said, give to us. Now, on hearing their request, Moses brought their case before the Lord. Listen, I'm sure Moses had a lot of cases, right, that he was hearing, but he heard these little sisters' cases, right, and took their case before the Lord, sat before Almighty God Allah, and said, the daughters, oh Allah, I'm going to be Moses for a minute. Oh Allah, the daughters of Zelophehad speak right, is what the God told him. So, so, so Moses, let's get this straight. He goes to Allah. He tells Allah the story about the daughters. And then Allah says, the daughters of Zelophehad speak right. Thou shalt surely give them a possession of an inheritance among their father's brethren, and thou shalt cause the inheritance of their father to pass unto them. That's Numbers 27:7. How many people have been ill affected by laws and they have a case but don't get the opportunity to bring it before the lawmakers? Let alone how many people are living in a land where the lawmakers have a direct connection to God himself. But Hoglah and her sisters brought their case before the court of Moses. Being the upstanding man that he was, he took it straight to Allah himself. And Allah ruled in the favors of the sisters. Think over that. Put yourself in the space of these sisters. Furthermore, the Lord created a new statute of judgment for Israel. So Allah said, yes, I hear the sister's case. I agree with the sister's case. And he said, and Moses, I'm going to instruct you on a new law. And that law says, and thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a man dies and has no son, then ye shall cause his inheritance to pass on to his daughters. And if he has no daughters, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his brethren. Their case, are y'all hearing me? Their case inspired revelation. That's revelation. We talked last Thursday, and I talked about the champion within you is God's soldier. And when they stood up and had courage and were champions, Allah used them to send down revelation onto his man, their leader. Think over that. Their courage, the champion in them inspired revelation. So sometime after Moses received this revelation from the Lord, the chief fathers of the tribe of Manasseh approached him with concern. So Moses comes back from wherever he goes and talks to Allah. He goes back and the people in the tribe of Manasseh, they got a little question about it. Some people probably didn't like the law. Some people liked it but was concerned. But y'all know how it is. Somebody always got something to say. So the chief fathers of the tribe of Manasseh approached Moses with a concern. They were concerned about what would happen to the daughters' inheritances once they married and joined the tribe of their husbands. So it might have been a brother trying to holler at one of the sisters, and they say, oh no, wait a minute, they're gonna get this land. They said, and if they be married to any of the sons of the other tribes of the children of Israel, then shall their inheritance be taken from the inheritance of their fathers, and shall be put to the inheritance of the tribe whereunto they are received. So shall it be taken from the lot of our inheritance? So in other words, are we going to lose this land in our nation because one of these sisters went and married somebody else? Now that could be petty because we could be talking about a little bit of land. Who knows? Maybe Zelophehad had a lot of land. And they was like, wait a minute, that's key strategic territory. See, this is nation building right here. Y'all with me? Let me know in the chat if y'all following this okay. Brother Lamont said loud and clear, all praises due to Allah. This is nation building right here. Okay, so the daughters get the land. And they said, we don't want some brother who is not one of us to trick them, marry them, and take the land. Like I said, it could have been strategic or this could have been petty. We don't know. They were especially concerned that when the Jubilee year came, around that the land which was intended as an inheritance for Manasseh would be permanently lost to another tribe. This was because the Lord had commanded that every 50th year would be reverted to the family to which it had belonged to before the transaction. Okay, that's Leviticus 25:11. interesting land rights, right? Um, let's break that down a little bit, just a little bit. So every 50 years, if you have bought some land or inherited some land, and that land had to be returned to the family that owned it before your sales transaction. So let's say, you know, your father has land and he gets hard up for money, or somebody offers him a price that can't be um that he can't turn away from. Or let's say he just turns hypocrites and said, I'm not part of this nation no more, and he sells this land. Well, the law of the land says that that person can only hold that land for 50 years. Has to go back to the original family. Some people probably thought that they were crazy. Some may have been encouraged by the sisters' braveness, but there were specific laws about land during this time. They could have been threatened for going against the law by the people who planned to take their father's land and ignore their existence. They could have been in danger. How did the people treat them after the revelation of the new law? Did people get mad at them? Did they throw stones at them and say they done took they so-and-sos up here and got the land changed, the laws changed? I was planning on getting this land, or I didn't want my sister to get no land. What was it like? Now, Moses took everything from politics to business to Allah. There are some today who say that Allah or spirituality have no place in business or politics. You all hear me say all the time that people have criticized me. I said it earlier and said that the credentials and experience I have, why would I ruin it by infusing spirituality? See, that's a rule that's only applied generally to Black people. Did y'all know that? Black people who achieve certain professional status. Because if you study most millionaires and billionaires, in fact, about it, Brother Bedford did an interview even among Black entrepreneurs. And what he found, that the most common trait is that they all have some form of spiritual practice that they use as the foundation for the way they do business. Now, you and I may not agree with their religion. It may not be something that we would do or their way of doing things, but they have a foundation. And you and I have every right to have a foundation also. So don't let nobody tell you that you can't be spiritual and be in business. See, the problem with a lot of people in business is they become predators and tyrants because they're just mimicking the business models of the slave master, of the predatory capitalist. And they become gods, or they make money their god. That's what happens to a lot of people. They take those business models that they learn in predatory business school and they bring them over into the world and practice those behaviors among Black people. So oftentimes Black people see Black people in business as even worse than white people in business, or the people who are predatory against them. So what we're talking about as a conscious entrepreneur, as Muslims, Christians, Jewish people, Buddhists, whatever, but conscious entrepreneurs. My focus, of course, is on Black Muslims because I really want us to build our ecosystem. I want to see us unite as Black Muslims here in America and build an ecosystem where we can do business among one another that's not predatory, and that we learn these tools and develop such a close relationship with Allah like Moses, that when we have a problem in business, when we have a challenge, I don't care if we picking a wall color, we say, Allah, what you think? See, Moses again took the problem to the Lord that the sisters had brought, and then the people from Manasseh came and they started asking questions. Well, what happens when they marry somebody else? He said, okay, I'll be back. Let me go talk to God about it. So he took the problem to the Lord and announced that the tribe of the sons of Joseph had said well. He explained that the solution the Lord had given him was that the daughters of Zelophehad should, quote, marry to whom they think best. That's a mouthful in and of itself, right? Because People always got something to say about who you're going to be with, right? But Allah said that they should marry to whom they think best, but only to the family of the tribe of their fathers shall they marry. Talking about nation building. So, man, yeah, we talk about nation building. We talk all the time about how so many of our millionaire and billionaire athletes and entertainers, they take that generational wealth out of our community, out of our nation, away from us. But Moses said, and God said, don't do that. Marry to whom they think best, only to the family of their tribe of their father shall they marry. So shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel be moved from tribe to tribe. For every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. We're talking about being intentional about nation buildings. You can go see that in Numbers 36, 6 and 7 in the Bible. He also commanded that any daughter who inherited from her father was obligated to choose a husband from among her same tribe so that the inheritance would stay in the tribe. Think about that wisdom. Again, they inspired revelation and they were obedient believers and members of their nation. They understood the importance of generational wealth and nation building. The daughters of Zelophehad obeyed Moses' counsel, and they each married brothers from their tribe so that their inheritance remained in the tribe of the family of their father. I can't tell you how many times people have said to me, you know what, Sister Sajdah or Sister Wendy, have you thought about marrying somebody outside of your race? Then you'd have a husband by now. I said, well, you know what? I'm stuck with Tyrone and Abdul. They just gonna have to step up to the plate and come get their sister. Because I'm not going outside of my race. There's no other options for me. No outside of my race. I ain't marrying no woman. I'm sticking with Tyrone and Abdul. We don't know how old these young women were, but they were probably fairly young. See, because at that time they approached Moses, they were unmarried. And women in the Old Testament times usually married around the age of 14 or 15. And so it's probable that the oldest daughter was around that age or younger. It is also likely that they had been born while children of Israel wandered in the wilderness. So think about this, makes it even more powerful because they were probably 14 years or younger. Y'all didn't hear that. Did you hear me say that these sisters were likely younger than 14 years old? Type in the chat if you heard me. Put younger than 14 years old in the chat. These teenagers and preteens, as we call them today, they were concerned about their father's legacy and their inheritance at 14 or 15 years old. What are our 14 and 15-year-olds doing? What have been instilled in these girls at an early age so that by the time they were 14 and 15, they was concerned about their daddy's legacy, a daddy who was a soldier. And what kind of example did their mother or the women around them offer so that it inspired this type of determination and courage? These are the daughters of Zelophehad. Examples for us: Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, Tirzah. My guess is that they were named in the order of their birth. So Mahlah could have been closer to the age of getting ready to be married. That's why the chiefs came back to Moses and said, wait a minute, I know you put this new law in effect, but I think that oldest one might be getting ready to get married, and there's somebody who like her that ain't one of us. So what are we going to do about that? Because they're going to take this land. It probably was a lot of land. If it wasn't a lot of land, they was being petty. So I'm going to say they wasn't being petty. And later, when the time came for Joshua to divide up the land into inheritance for each tribe, the daughters of Zelophehad again approached the high priest, Joshua, and the princes and reminded them that the Lord had commanded Moses to give them an inheritance among our brethren. That's Joshua 17 and 4. Why did they have to go back? They say, hey, hello. We just want to remind y'all of what the law is. Accordingly, Joshua gave each daughter 2 portions of land, making it a total of 10 portions, because their father was the firstborn son and thus entitled to a double portion. So their father had been a firstborn son, which meant that he inherited land. He died, and then the sisters got his inheritance. They didn't even take it away from them or take part of it away. Their inheritance was beside the land of Gilead. See, the Bible gives us the location. He said it was beside the land of Gilead and Bashan, which were on the other side of Jordan. And the rest of Manasseh's sons had the land of Gilead. Let's break this down a little bit. According to Jewish tradition at that time, their daughters did not expect to receive an inheritance from their father after he died. There's a book written by a gentleman named James R. Barker called Women's Rights in Old Testament Times. And one day after their father's death, according to this tradition, Moses was discussing Levirate marriage within the daughter's hearing. So there were women around who heard this. It occurred to them that if a childless widow could preserve her husband's name through an heir provided by Levirate marriage, an heir who would inherit the deceased husband's land, justice demanded that a way be found to preserve the name of an honorable man who only had daughters. See, there were laws in place, and there were women, okay, who were striving for the honor of these men. And unfortunately, throughout the annals of time, there weren't men and maybe even other women who had the power and the voice to stand up to make sure that we weren't written out of history. So that's what we're doing here today. We're going to lift up these sisters' name. And I've read some speculation about the sisters that's interesting. Perhaps the reason for Manasseh's, the chiefs of Manasseh approaching Moses with their concern was because maybe one of the daughters was about to marry somebody. It's intriguing to think that maybe one of the older daughters wanted to marry someone from another tribe, or maybe somebody liked her or asked for her in courtship. And that's what sparked all the concern over where their inheritance would go when they got married. And they made sure they put laws in place that supported the transference of generational wealth. What y'all thinking? Tell me what you think in the thought. Some people say that's deep right there. That's young. Yeah. 14 years or younger. Really young. Really young. So, what are we ready to stand up for? How many of us are ready to stand up in the face of something like that? Would you have gone to Moses? Would you have gone before Moses and presented your case? Are you willing to make a difference? Or are you so beat down? Think about that. Talk to me in the chat. What are you all thinking? We got about a good 10 minutes. You can ask questions or give me your comments on the subject. What's kind of the moral of the story here? That if we don't stand up and preserve our history, y'all know it's coming back to this. If we don't stand up and preserve our history, if we don't stand up and lift up the names of those that have gone before us, it will be written out of history by our enemies. That's why you see going across the bottom a way in which to support the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad house. We're walking through the volume of the books. See, we can continue to be slaves and have the same mindset that they're trying to get us to have today. And we just go, oh, well, somebody got the house. Oh, well, I don't know. I'm not interested in that person's legacy. What are we going to do? What are we going to do to stand up for the inheritance that we deserve, demand our inheritance, and preserve the legacy of great men that came before us? What if somebody had let Moses' legacy be liquidated? Just like people want the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's legacy to be liquidated. They want to bankrupt his deposit in our heart. They want to remove it. What happened? What would happen? What would happen if we said, man, well, we don't care about Martin Luther King. Y'all ain't got to tell us about him. How many people have we done that with? We have an example in the Bible. A lot of us say we Muslims, we Christians. A lot of Muslims like to say a good Muslim is a good Christian. What are we following? You're talking about 5 sisters younger than 14 years old who went to Moses to demand not only their generational inheritance, but the legacy of their father. They wanted it preserved. And how did they preserve it? By getting the land. The land represented the legacy of their father. The land represented their inheritance. The land represented that my father was a soldier and a believer, and he went out here in the land. He died. And I know this is a small exchange, but in exchange for this, I'm going to inherit land, and then I'm going to be obedient. And I'm only going to marry somebody from among my tribe so that this land stays in my family for generations and generations to come. R.J. Funcher said we must do for self. Stanley Ferguson says the preservation of our wealth is the preservation of our history, is the preservation of our great legacy, in my opinion. That's right, Brother Stanley. Let me know in the chat. What do y'all think? This is about preserving history. I promise you, I didn't plan it like that. But all things come back to the renovation and restoration of the former home of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Why? How many of you are out here soldiering and grinding? Let me say this. I cannot tell you how many great Black people I have learned about and honored as a result of doing this work of urban historic preservation and preserving the messenger's home. I have stopped and prayed and honored for so many brothers and sisters who are ancestors who have gone before us, who've paved the way that we don't even know, whose names have been written out and erased from history. The minister said they wanted to liquidate him. They thought they buried him. They didn't like the fact that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stood up. And right now we're praising the life and legacy of Brother Jabril Muhammad, who was the minister's angel, who came to him and technically got him and helped him stand up and believe again and show him who he is. What are we doing? Are we sitting on our hands going, that ain't my problem? See, we talked on Thursday about how the white man and people around us, I must say the white man in this one because some of this is a concerted effort. Economic bullying and the mindset that's in us, I ain't got no money. I ain't got time to be donating. I ain't got time to be buying nothing. They asking for this and that down the church. They asked for me to pay some charity at the mosque. And then here come this sister talking about donating to the preservation of a house. We are nation building. And we can't have that mindset in our head. I ain't got no money. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I can't part with the little money that I have. Why not? Reason why you can't is because you think you ain't going to get no more. You think it's scarce. But when you look at the example of Moses, who didn't have no problem going to Allah saying, Allah, I need to know this. I need that. You and I can do that as well. We can go to the bank of our God that is infinite and unlimitless. But we don't think like that because when it comes to money, we're only concerned or our only limit or our limitation is what the white man gonna give us at work. A lot of us don't even dream of having more money. A lot of us don't even spend like we're going to have more money. Everything is, we're stingy. We live a subtraction life. Let me hold on to this. Let me hoard that. Money only has value when you spend it. See, they got this world, they got y'all tricked up in this world. I'm telling you. Yeah, you got to save your money because your money will save your life. But you know that when you're saving money, it's losing value. Think about that. While we're saving money, it's losing value. So we have to invest in something. So a lot of us try to say, well, let me invest in something that I physically control. But we also have to learn how to invest in things that we don't necessarily physically control, but that we know will return to us as a result of this new spiritual consciousness that we're working on having in the world of business. Does that make sense to y'all? Let me know in the chat. Yes, Brother Jabril and Angel, indeed. Absolutely. 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 All right, y'all. If y'all ain't got no questions and no comments, then I hope at least let me know in the chat how you felt. Did these sisters inspire you a little bit? Maybe just a little bit. Um, Let me know. Brother Stanley said, yes, they are actually rewriting our history. For example, Biden is saying our ancestors were immigrants. Where's the outrage? That's why. And are we that comfortable? Where's the outrage? That we were immigrants? Huh. How about, but see, when they take away the history, they can tell that lie. See, Brother Stanley, that's the beginning of the lie. So Biden keeps saying, and everybody picks up, they were immigrants, immigrants, immigrants. Well, y'all not giving us no immigrant rights. The immigration law don't apply to us. Y'all won't even give us money for kidnapping us and stealing us and bringing us over here and taking everything from us. No reparations. Immigrants? Okay, somebody, where's the lawyers? Let's challenge him. If we're immigrants, then where's our rights as immigrants? Where's our money? Where's our jobs? Where's our housing? See, because immigrants and the immigration law gives them certain rights. So where's our stuff if you want to call us immigrants? See, the whole idea is to liquidate that from our history. And then pretty soon it'll be in Chat GPT. And when you go into Chat GPT and you say, who is a Negro or who is a Black person in America? What is the history of Black people? It's going to say that we immigrated here 400 or 500 years ago. And that's it. That's all. There's no Harriet Tubman. There's nothing about your grandmother. Nothing about my great grandfather. There's nothing about, the ancestors and people in front of us, all these great inventors that we have. There's likely not one modern day invention that didn't originate with a Black person. Why? Because as slaves and as workers, you are more likely in your brain to do quality improvement and improve the work that you're doing. If you cut in patterns one at a time, you're going to find a way to cut 20 at a time. So you're going to invent something. If you picking cotton, you're going to find a way to pick more cotton with your hand or make it less challenging for you. And oftentimes what happened, these Black people invented this stuff and their patents were taken. The naming right, Thomas Edison, all them, these were Black people invented all this stuff, the stoplight, the refrigerator, even the first motorized car. Now, Mr. Ford made it popular and mass produced it, but he wasn't the first one to create the car. So what are we doing? We don't get this history out here in the lexicon, get it documented and written, that when our children go into Chat GPT and look in the AI and try to figure out who they are, we ain't gonna be there. So help me with this movement. Join me. Start to preserve your history. Help me to preserve the legacy of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in terms of preserving the real estate that is important to underserved communities. All right. Peace and blessings, family. Happy Saturday. Go out here, do good for somebody. Remember that the champion in you is God's soldier. All right, so peace and blessings. Let's see what we got going across the screen here. Don't forget to get your tour. If you're going to be here for the National Training Conference, you can use the QR code up at the top and book your tour. She said, Sister Letha said, just a deplorable manipulation of truth that will become an institutional lie. You're exactly right. And let me say this last thing. What bothers me and is when I think about people from our community who worked hard, who went downtown on these jobs and made a difference. And all of a sudden, they don't matter. They raised us, they took care of us, they gave us examples, they did the best that they could, and all of a sudden, they don't matter? Are you kidding me? Are we that dead? Come on, family, let's preserve our history. All right, so you can come for a tour on the 30th, use the QR code, or go to the link in the bio on my social media pages. Make sure you like and subscribe. Don't chip and dip me. I think I'm giving y'all some good information that's worth thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Make a donation. You can cash app us at $Mo today, MOETODAY. And if you really, really want to support, go to Sajdah House Donations, become a sponsor, and or get a coin. All right. Brother Stanley said, absolutely. How would I donate a ticket for your summer tours? Thank you for your dedication. Walaikum salam. You want to donate to somebody so that they can get a tour, Brother Stanley? So cash at me at $Mo today. That's MOETODAY. The tour is $25, and put in the subject tour donation, and I'll pick somebody that we can sponsor for free for a donation. I get people all the time who say they can't afford to come. I wish we get enough money where we can make it free. Right now we have to pay for our operation, so we're not at that point, but we'll get there. We'll get there. All right, family, peace and blessings, and happy Saturday. All right, I'm gonna go, and I will let you all know who we are covering next week and how we're going to do that. If you're interested in a coaching or consulting session, my schedule is now open. I just finished 2 clients. Well, one I'm finishing this morning. And so I'll be open up. I can do some more coaching and consulting. So come on in, book your session. If you got a business issue, I just finished, for example, a deck for somebody who is going for a $7 million bank loan. So we put together this elaborate presentation based upon their business, and I'm wrapping that up this morning. So, all right, family, peace and blessings. Love you all very, very much, and thank you for your support.
Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. You now can take the Mind of an Entrepreneur show wherever you go. I'm now available on Spotify. Just search Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. Add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your Roku TV lineup and catch up on past episodes of all your favorite Mo Today shows.